in. It's Birds for the podcast with your boy Q City,
Your boy Todd Bravado.
and this is episode 80. It's our season recap. We're gonna basically just talk about how our Falcons didn't make it into the playoffs. Took some time to process that, but we back at it. So we ended the season versus the Panthers. Uh, Gut wrenching loss, last minute loss. To be honest, I think we had a lot of takeaways from the season. Um, Obviously, some heads started to roll. But before I get my thoughts, I really want to turn the floor over to you. Taj, looking back at it, what did you think of this season?
Um, it's a building block here. Um, I mean, obviously, you would like to make the playoffs. Um, I mean, we still got a lot of holes as a team. I feel confident in our offense going forward, but our defense still needs more growth. Need better secondary play, mainly like cornerback two, then maybe another safety. We need another linebacker to pair with Caden, and then I mean, I'm comfortable with the D line, but just bring it. Well, we obviously need an edge, but like outside of that, I'm comfortable with the D line. Just just adding a couple of just vet bodies. But I mean, the season. I mean, it is they underperformed defensively, offense. I mean, I can't really complain too much. Kirk kind of screwed us during that stretch, but I mean, at least we got Penix. So I mean,
Yeah.
given Penix only gave us 3 games, but I liked what I saw, and it's very promising. And an odd thing is like the media is kind of like praising Penix, which is kind of strange because they kind of take any opportunity to take a dump on it.
hmm
So I'm optimistic. Um, you know, yeah. I mean, defense didn't perform enough, and as a result, heads rolled. With it being Jimmy Lake and the one I was pounding the here before, Jay Rogers, the design coach. So yeah, what you think about it?
To be honest, bro, uh, my recap of the season, I want to take back to something we said after the draft. And I'm gonna remind you, I'm gonna try to insert a clip here, y'all. So like if you tuned into the live, cool. If you tuned into the podcast and you got video, you should be able to see this clip. If you remember, before the season started, one sentence that we both said and agreed upon was that if we see Michael Penix this year, it was an organizational failure and people were gonna get fired. I don't know if you remember that conversation. But I was going back and looking at some of our clips and I saw it and it was hilarious, right? Because we were so sure coming into the season that we wouldn't see Penix for 2 years, really, but at minimum, we weren't going to see him this season, right?
Yeah,
And I think most people, yourself, myself, most people, most fans, their only optimism going into next season is the fact that Penix looked good, right? He did. He had a 1-2 record, but like both losses could be explained through the fact of like he didn't even get to touch the ball in overtime. He made big plays down the stretch. The defense gave it up on him. Like when I look back on this season, the thing that sticks out to me most notably is the fact that like multiple times this season I called into question coaching, coaching decisions, benchings, um, just like starting people when necessary. And I don't like that because it makes me feel like I'm just an average fan critiquing the coach, right? And it's like you don't know every single instance that these coaches are going under. But I think with that being said, I think even a blind man could see after the two defensive performances, and Washington's good. Washington just beat Tampa, right? Washington's good. But after the last two defensive performances, you could almost see the right one, right? Like once the loss in and start doing your job with you, you're probably. It's just real, right? Like once Raheem after the bye week, and then you saw after the bye week things were really stepping up. You kind of knew the writing was on the wall for Jimmy Lake, and I love the fact that you brought out the D line coach as well because like it wasn't just the coordinator, right? To be honest, our secondary coach not being on the chopping block is interesting as well, but we'll see is
I think that's more talent than coaching.
which is quite possible. I think when I look over this season, it just feels like waste is waste is the wrong word because like we finally broke 7 wins, right? With 7 wins for 3 straight seasons. But I went and looked, and because you mentioned it, 7 years since we've been in the playoffs, right? This everybody
Since
knows
a
that
winning
7 years.
season.
Yeah, that's the point I was gonna get to. Is that like when you look at these seasons, it's 4-12, 7-10, 7-10, 7-10, 8-9 this year. You got one 8-8 season in there. Back then, it was 8-8, 4-12. No, it wasn't 8-8. It was
Mm-mm. Well, 8 a winning season. We ain't had more than 7 wins until this year. We ain't had mo-
2018.
we ain't had more than 7 wins since we went to the playoffs in 2017.
That's that's where I was. It was 7-9, or not 7. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
it was
was.
7-9 because
7-9 back when we had 60. So 7-9, 4-12, 7-10, 7-10, 7-10, 8-9 this year. And I'm missing a year in there somewhere. But the point is, this was a step in the right direction, but it just feels like more of the same. Is like we have great pieces, we got good talent. We're going to be ballooned in salary in a bit. It just felt like a miss based on all indications going into the season. I think we have a very winnable division moving forward, and to not win it this year, especially with all the things that Tampa was dealing with, right? Godwin out, Evans out for a bit of time. They basically tried to just like give us the division, and we swept them. You know what I'm saying? I hate to say it, but like the Saints might suck next year, but in 2 years, 3 years from now, once they clean up the cap, like the Saints aren't going to stay terrible forever. You know what I'm saying? The
well,
Bucks are one,
one, the Saints got to get a quarterback before we even have a conversation about them.
which is true. But like the Bucks have won the division 4 years in a row, and Bryce Young was
The
the number one.
Panthers are the one I'm scared of next year.
Yeah, and I think the Panthers next year are what I thought they were going to be this year when I was talking about them. And I think I think that right there leads me to just feel like this was the year we really could have grabbed some momentum, made a playoff push, put us in the right direction. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel like had we made the playoffs with Kirk and then regressed with Phoenix next year, because like after and this isn't even revisionist history. This is just honest real. After seeing him, if Kirk got us to the playoffs and we lost in the first round, Phoenix was starting next year. Anything short of Kirk winning a Super Bowl, I think Phoenix.
I don't agree because the only reason that they even set Kirk now is because of how bad he was playing. As long as Kirk played like he played before that bad stretch, Penny might have been sitting out for 2 years.
I think to your point. I think to your point, like you brought out, like the short circuiting aspect of it, he goes through a whole off season because that's what everybody is saying. Like, bro, Phoenix goes through an off season, he's gonna come back, fucking roaring, ready to go, right? So like, I don't believe, I don't believe Kirk could have went in the next year and not had the stretch, the 5 game stretch he had at the beginning of next season.
Because
Like
no, Penix is the better quarterback without a doubt. But the thing is like Raheem, like he's been very transparent about the whole quarterback situation. Like he made it very clear it was not the plan for Penix to play. So that leads me to believe that Penix wasn't gonna play next year either because he always said it's not on Penix, it's on Kirk. Everything's dependent on Kirk. So they didn't pull Kirk until Kirk left them with no choice because it was like, are you killing the team?
you really were. You really were. And I definitely feel like, and once again, that's just me. I feel like you can't deny talent at some point.
I mean,
So,
at some
so
point,
like,
yeah, but like they made that financial investment. That's
yeah,
the only reason it took so long to bench him.
and that is what I was. That's the point I was getting to about like criticizing coaches starting and sitting, right? Like now that I'm a bit removed from it because I made this statement um during the Giants live, or it might have been during the Panthers live, where I was like, "Oh, if we had started him earlier," but like now being a bit removed from it and looking at it, they gave Kirk the exact amount of games that you were supposed to get. Like you gave him 5 games of sucking, and you benched him after a win. You gave him 5 games of sucking. Like if you were going to bench him after 1 game, you never should have gave him that. If you were going to bench him after two, he's not your guy. Uh, the third game
It's
was
like, okay, it's conversation time.
it's conversation time. Then you had a bye week, right? Then you had a fourth game where he
He
said
came out
it
and
and said,
stunk.
no, 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 no. To this day, I think you should have benched him after that game
Yeah, I
because,
do
like,
too.
as a quarterback, you can't say I left the field. It was 21-21. I came back.
No, that wasn't after the bye. After the bye was the Charger game where he threw 4 picks.
Cardinals was 4 picks. No, 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 no. So then he had 2 games. Then he had a bye. Then he had the Chargers.
Yeah,
Yes. So
because
we
we
had
put the
2 bad.
Broncos bye week, Chargers, then Vikings. I think.
Yeah. So you had two
And
bad
then
games. You're like, okay, let's get to the bye. Let's reset. Right? You had 2 bad games. Let's get to the bye. Let's reset. The Broncos game, you could really explain away, honestly, because it's like, bro, we just went on vacation. It happened. Right? We got kicked in the teeth early in
I,
that
I,
game. No, no, no.
I'm still
I'm
not
saying
getting.
from a coaching perspective. From a coaching
You still
perspective.
can't you still can't explain that away that you get paid to do a job. You can't you give these niggas you give the people too much leniency. They're paid to do a job.
No, no, no. I'm saying from a coaching standpoint of thinking why you didn't bench him, right? Hey, we suck.
I was talking about
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. We both said we came on here and was like, that's a firm to take game. Like you ain't learning nothing from that. Keep it pushing. Go to the bye week. Let's reset. You come out of the bye week. You have a 4 pick game. Okay, look, conversation. Like you said, conversation. Let's really discuss this. The Viking game. I firmly believe you should have sat him after the Viking game because I felt like one, I felt there was no way in the world you were losing to the Raiders or the Giants. I felt like no matter who was the quarterback, as long as you get played confident football, you were winning both of those games you were. So, but what he said after the Vikings game really led credence to the. And for y'all who didn't hear it, because I keep referencing it. After I say this, I want you to go back over. But that Vikings quote really solidified where you were talking to me about like, yo, he's short circuiting. Like his brain ain't there anymore, right? And like the pressure's getting to him. Then after the Raiders game, you missed him because like you're like, yo, we can't keep doing this. But for y'all who just tuned in or didn't know, oh, Avita said to all my Germany fans, we see y'all. um, tell them about your Kirk theory as to why he started short circuit. Because I really feel like it's gold.
um basically Kirk ain't never had a talent like that behind him. He's never been in a position to where he was worried about losing his job. So the Penix thing probably shook his mental up, like because you start to either underdo or overdo things, and he did a little bit of both during that stretch. Like he would try to overcompensate for his lack of ability and turn the ball over at a high rate, or he would play ultra conservative, and then which led to the offense underperforming. So it's a tough position to be in when you have someone that you clearly see is more talented than you behind you, and it's like the writing's on the wall. It's just like damn, like because part of the reason why he didn't go back to Minnesota was because they said we're judging the quarterback. He didn't want that pressure, and he could say, "Oh well, the NFL is it's a business thing first, whatever. Business as usual." But he was clearly shaken by it.
And that's another point that I was dying to get past is the fact that like when we drafted Penix, I want people to understand it, like think about and understand the fact that he left Minnesota because they were very upfront about the fact they were drafting a quarterback, right? So like that's where I feel like it makes total sense. If you go back and you look through Kirk's whole career, the biggest knock on RG3 was the fact that he struggled to read defense. Do I feel like there was some racial impetus behind that? A little bit, right? But we're not going to rehash that. That was a big thing that the Shanahan's talked about. Is he was coming from a one-read offense. He relied far too much on athleticism, and after he got hurt, it really limited him as a quarterback, right? So like Kirk always felt like I had the upper hand on you because I could see the game, right? Like that's just I'm a better quarterback. In his mind, I'm a better quarterback. And he's the hunter in that situation. He didn't come in as the starter. You know what I'm saying? So he's like fighting that role. When he gets to Minnesota, first whole tenure in Minnesota, the only quarterback they drafted in the top 3 rounds was Kellen Mond. So only guy. And like, hey, no disrespect to you, Mr. Mond. I don't know if you're a faithful listener. If you are, tell your friends about. Like, he's bad quarterback. He's a bad NFL quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like he just was not good. He was no threat. This is the first time in his whole 13, 14-year career that you're in a situation where you have legitimate threat to you as a backup. You can't handle it. You can't handle it. You were like week after week, me and you coming on here like, what is he thinking with some of these things? You short circuiting, bro.
Yeah.
And I
Sounds pretty
think
good.
the team, I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. Um, any conversations with players, it's like I wouldn't even say if I did, you know what I'm saying? But like, what was the conversation like that Kirk all of a sudden felt like the team wasn't okay with him being the starting quarterback? But like that conversation never happened. It didn't seem to happen publicly. Like it didn't seem as though their faith was shaken in him publicly, even though he started going game after game after game with bad games.
I don't think it had nothing to do with any particular conversation. It's just the man got eyes.
Mhm.
Like he watches this man every day in practice. He's right there with him. They have a very close relationship. Kirk see it like yeah, nobody talking like nobody ain't got to tell you when someone better than you is like like the man and you may not admit it, but up here you know.
Not a facts. That's facts. Like I'm a thug. I can't say it out loud, but like
Yeah,
my
you're
thug,
not gonna say
like
you're not gonna admit it, but it's like you know, man, I could do this. But the whole time I was like, damn, this motherfucker good.
this motherfucker good. Did you see that though? Yeah, I had you know.
Like it made me think back to the it's a RCDC skit, right? Um when when the starting quarterback got hurt and it was like, man, this quarterback's great. Man, and starting quarterback's like, oh man, I could do that too. But you can't do it like that.
Not facts. Not facts. Like that throw to Daryl Hall really had me like, I don't really even care about the outcome of this game. Bro, we are set for the next 2 weeks. Like,
Yeah, like yeah.
and that's helpful. So, like, yeah, that's what I'm getting from the season. Same kind of concept. I'm super excited about the offense. Still very, very worried about the defense, but I think that leads into the next point that we were going to get to. You mentioned Jimmy Lake Bags. Tell me a little bit about who you think are some potential replacements, some ways we can work the defense from the coaching aspect, and then we'll do really, really early talk about draft stuff.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing that you kind of want to tackle when you get into the next defensive coordinator situation is do you stay in the same scheme or do you go back to a 4-3 scheme?
Mhm.
Now, if you want to stay in the same scheme, there are a
Look,
couple
hold on,
guys you can go.
before you get
Huh?
into that, what do you prefer based upon our current personnel? Because I never prefer. What do you prefer based upon your current personnel?
Uh, I don't. I don't really know. To be honest with you, I don't really. Based off what our talent is, because like truth be told, our scheme, even though we ran a 3-4, we're more suited for a 4-3. So in that instance, even though it's unlikely, give me Robert Sala. But given he's probably going to go back to the 49ers if we don't get a head coach job, Dennis Allen.
Okay, so both of those on my short list, but just like I just wanted that on the record. So like based upon who we currently draft and our personnel, I would love for us to run a 4-3. That's just me. All right, but anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, so if they want to stay in a 3-4 right now, you could go Brandon Staley. Horrible head coach, no shade, but he has some good stuff as a defensive coordinator with the Rams. Another guy, depending on like the kind of way you want to take it, maybe like a Jeff Ulbrich.
A lot of
Even
buzz
though he's
around it.
even though he's not a 3-4 guy, he's a more of a 4-3, but just the familiar thing. And then a lot of people are throwing out Steve Wilkes. I wouldn't mind him, but he's not a preference at all for me. And then obviously with the 4-3 side, Robert Sala and Dennis Allen. And people like obviously there's not many ties with us between here and Sala, but there's a lot of ties with Dennis Allen. The Terry Fontenot, Dennis Allen thing for when they were New Orleans, and Dennis Allen was actually on the Falcons staff years ago. I don't know if people realize that, but yeah, so it could be homecoming because he's from here too. So,
Say what you want about Dennis Allen as a head coach who has a lot of flaws. Dennis Allen is a hell of a defensive coordinator.
yeah, defensive coordinator, his defense has always performed. So, like I seen something on Twitter. Someone was like, "Hey, sign me up for Dennis Allen as a defensive coordinator and Ryan Nielsen as the D-line coach." I said, I would need new pants.
Well, let's see. It's getting tight. Like, look, man. Like, I've been hoping that Nielsen comes back in some capacity. Uh they let go of the whole coaching staff, to my knowledge, right now in Jacksonville. So he is technically free. So just keeping my ear to the street on that one. They said whenever they hire a new coach, they're gonna re-interview. So technically every position on that staff is open right now, and then they'll re-interview to assess whether or not they're gonna keep them. My thoughts on him keeping that defensive coordinator role, very, very slim. So like he would most likely have to step down on that staff. That's very, very difficult with like within the same team, right? So like even coming here, you know what I'm saying? There was a lot of turnover, or there is a lot of like lap over with like guys who see you as a defensive coordinator. So then to take a positional coach on that same staff, kind of hard, right? But he's a year removed from it from the Falcons. He'd be right there in it in the Jaguars, which is why I don't see him staying on the Jaguar staff. And I would love for him to come back as a D line coach. We produced at a higher rate than we had produced in years. Coordinator and those sacks were generated a lot from the line. If you look at our highest sack totals this year from Kate Nellis, you know what I'm saying, from the linebacker position. Ebiketie thrived in his system last year. Zach Harrison didn't really get no burn, but it is what it is. Who else was it?
I mean, you had Calais Campbell, Bud Dupree.
Yes. Really, really thrived in his system last year. And so I would love for him to come back and be able to kind of finish what you started under Dennis out. So that would be different to see how Nielsen works the D line when in a 4-3 system, right? But I feel like he's much more adept to it. Jacksonville ran a 3-4 year, but Jacksonville was a terrible defense last year.
No, Jacksonville ran 4-3.
They ran a 4-3 last year. They were a terrible defense last year. Like they got gashed repeatedly, right? But when we talk about complimentary football, some of their bad defense was due to like bad offensive play. You know what I'm saying?
Because they got an overpaid quarterback.
Yeah, yeah, it's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? So
Overpaid and
like, if
overrated.
we're in the position to bring him back and we have a decent offense, I I think we could do a lot. Honestly,
The culture matters, but like the X's and O's can only take you so far if you ain't got no Jimmys and Joes. We need more guys. Flat
I
out.
agree. I agree. So
Um,
getting
you know,
oh, I was gonna say getting into way too early free agency and draft bumps, right? This is bro, we're gonna do an ATL about the playoffs. You understand me? So this is way too early. But like I want everyone to know this. Look in my eyes when I tell you this. Abdul Carter is not gonna be
no, not at all.
there.
At all.
Okay. Okay. Abdul Carter is not gonna be there. I understand it's your first time tuning in to college football. You see a guy flash and you see Mel Kiper on his big board and you're like, oh, that's need to end. Abdul Carter's not gonna be there.
Yeah, because another thing I seen the people talk about the Penn State game. They're like, "Well, Raheem Morris is there." I mean, yeah, he must be looking at Bill Carter. I mean, you could say that, but Raheem know he ain't gonna be there,
Yeah,
and we don't have enough. We don't have enough ammo to trade up, so that's dead.
not without boy, not without more in the future.
It's it's not it's we're not one player away, so it's not worth it.
like no. So
No,
Abdul Carter's
Raheem
not
was
gonna be
there to support. Raheem was there to support his friend.
there. Now,
But I will say that given Raheem's relationships with Franklin from Penn State, and he has a close relationship from someone else from another school. No, is it Notre Dame? No, I can't remember the other school. But given his relationships with these two coaches, I would expect the Falcons to take a close look at some of the players that came from these programs. I would have to go back and get the other one because I cannot remember the other school for the life of me right now. But
which
yeah,
is fine. But I want to stress to people, like as of right now, we have picks in this draft.
we have I think 5 picks. Cause I think the oh, you talking about the number? We got 15. You
No,
talking about
no,
the
no.
number?
I think we have 4 picks.
It's four, but no, I think what was it? I think Heineke hit an escalator that confirmed us another pick.
Oh, thank God. All right. Well, hey, 5 picks, beautiful. Um, well, I'll look back on that one, but if 5 picks is good, but we are prime candidates to move down in the first and second round to just kind of stockpile because, like he said, we're not one pick away. This is the type of draft where picks pick 14 to pick 42 is the same player, right? And like it's
No.
not super high end. It's not super high end.
Okay, hold on. Time out. Throw the flag on the play. We're gonna challenge that. No. Um, 14 and 42 is a 14 and 42 is a big ass difference. You're not about to just lump them in. We're not doing that.
Where you
No,
go? Give me
because
first round grade.
because the thing is, at 14 you could possibly, at 15 you could possibly. I don't know what you want. At 15 you could possibly get a guy like a Michael Walker or a James Pierce or a Jalen. Is it Jalen Walker, the other linebacker from Georgia? These are players that could possibly be available at 15 because you know
You can
why?
see them at
Because
15.
hold on, hold on. Because the thing is, you have quarterbacks that are not going to push things down. Shador and Cam are probably going to push some of these guys down. Another guy that may get some random draft hype, Jackson Dart. You won't hear it now, but as the process is starting, he has all of the tools you want. He's athletic enough. He probably will go somewhere to like the Rams or something like that. But still, these quarterbacks are going to shift the border, and then we ain't had no combine. We ain't like people fall in love with prospects, and then some people reach for needs. There's a real possibility we could be staring at a top 10, like the 14 to 42. That's a huge gap, and that is a huge gap.
I don't see blue chip. Now, Brent,
No,
that ain't look hard.
okay, no. You said blue chip. There's realistically there's only like 4 to 5 blue chips any year. There's never
There's
14 blue. There's never 14 blue chips.
You have a sneaker draft where you have 18, 19 people with first round grades.
Okay, first round grade and blue chip are not the same thing.
Okay, first round grades. That's all we're talking about. First round grades. At first glance, to me, I would see like 12, 13.
You could say that, but I'm just saying to say between 14 and 42 ain't a big difference. That's egregious.
All right, let's go 14 and
Because you're saying that's the same player. When realistically, we could get one of these edge rushers at 15.
that's the thing. I don't think any of those three are going to be there. That's me.
Well,
That's me. We
me
can sit
doing
down.
me doing all my mock draft homework. They've consistently been there.
All three of them.
Not all three of them, but one of them is always there.
I'd be interested to see it. But we're going to do a mock draft. And once again, like you said, we ain't did anything. This is way too early, right? But those three have really stuck out to me. Cam Shador really stuck out to me. YC from Arizona State really stuck out to me. So
They don't stand out. They just quarterbacks.
you know what I mean. They're gonna be picked. They're gonna be picked up there. So that's why I'm like, I don't see them really being there for us like that. So here's my thinking. The point I was trying to get to is if you aren't in love with a pass rusher at 15, there's a high probability you move down. You know what I'm saying? And just pick a guy that maybe is a fifth D end off the board, fifth outside linebacker off the board, depending on whatever defense we run, because we haven't even figured that piece out yet, right? We know that rush end, rush linebacker, whichever defense we're going to fall into.
It's the same. Rush end and linebacker the same thing these days. It don't really matter.
Or like you said, number 2 corner. What are we going to do with Simmons? Do you want to draft a safety that high? Is anybody worth drafting that high?
Yes, there is. Speaking of safety, I was talking about this in my one of my discords. Malachi Walker from Georgia is an interesting option at 15. He can do a lot of things that we need at safety. He some people are saying he's one of the blue chip players in this draft. I haven't done enough homework, but that is a popular name to look out for. Because a lot of fans are gonna be like, "Oh, we need D-line, D-line." Yeah, I get it. We need D-line, but you don't reach on the guy for the sake of taking him. That's what bad GMs do.
And we've invested. The draft is more than just the first round. We've invested a lot in the D line over the course of the last 3 years. We've invested a lot into the D line. So to be honest, and I don't think fans would love this, I could see us not picking another D line guy to like maybe round 3.
No, I think it's gonna be an edge or a corner. I can guarantee one of them are going, unless they pull off a trade in the offseason, I can guarantee in the first 2 rounds you're gonna see an edge or a corner.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen free agency yet, right? So like that's another piece of it.
Free agency or not, I can guarantee it.
I want to get to the other side of free agency before I say that, because like the funny part about it, everybody would have mocked a quarterback to the Falcons. Then free agency happened, and everybody was surprised we took a quarterback, right? So like it was you want to see free agency happen.
I understand that. I'm just saying.
The thing I'm worried about is with our current draft slate, the 5 picks, and what 3 of them got to be day 3, because I can't imagine Heineke's elevator was anything more than.
No, it's a 7th.
Yeah, like you know what I'm saying. So you got 3 of them day 3. I can't imagine that we have enough capital to make any real momentum during the free agency or trade period. You know what I'm saying? Like,
free agency, we could definitely make some shape.
And we have to figure out what we're gonna do about Kirk's contract. I love them saying like, "Oh, we'll keep him and whatnot." Is bullshit. Like, it's not.
Well, the thing is, whatever they do with Kirk, it has no bearings on this year.
Yeah, it's more so
the money spent. So it doesn't affect the team construction whatsoever this year, unless they decide to actually. Then I mean, you can go get a cheap quarterback anyway, so that really has no bearings on the roster.
I saw something Interesting. So, um, I I really like messing with salary cap, looking at it or whatnot, right? Uh, thought that say you have a 20 million dead cap number, right?
Mhm.
I thought you had to split it 10 and 10, or you split it along the escalation of the contract. So if the contract is front loaded, you can do 12 and 8, or if it's back loaded, you got to do 8 and 12, right? In the new CBA, check this out. Say I had that $20 million, right? I can literally do 19 and 1. The only thing that I have to make sure it fits into is just my regular salary cap. I can split it up almost any way I can or any way I want it to, as long as it follows the pattern, right? So it doesn't have to, where it used to have to be within a threshold. That's why you can only do like 12 and 8. You could do 19 and 1. It's what Cleveland did with Deshaun's contract. That first year he was suspended, they threw a lion's share of his contract onto that year, right? Paid a huge portion of it, which now will allow them with injury guarantees. If they wanted to, they can move off, right?
You
I
talking about
think,
what they just did, right?
yeah,
Okay.
with injury guarantees, they could. With Kirk and Penix being paid comparatively, I'm not like blind to the fact that most of us are struggling right now, bro. I ain't saying that. But with Penix being as cheap as he is, I could see them trying to split up this dead cap that we're going to eat with Hurt and like upping his cap number for this year to kind of move us through this with already having a low number of drafts. Here's what I mean by that. Here's what I mean by that. Like not being huge players in free agency, you're not bringing in as many bodies that are slotted to you within the draft compensation. Could you see yourself eating an extra 6 or 7 million in Kurt's contract this year so that it frees up the books later? I want to see what the split is when they move. I'm really interested in it.
No, I'm not interested in touching this contract at all. It's because the contract's essentially a 2-year deal. I'm not interested in touching any of that.
I mean, I'm saying this under the guise of we get rid of it. You're gonna have
Even
a
if you
dead
get
cap.
even if you get rid of them, I'm still not interested in. No, no.
Where the last time I looked, it was like you get rid
Because
of them. It's March
if
1st.
they do if they do the what is it, the June 1st designation, it'll be like 35 this year and 25 the next year.
So that's 60, right?
It's something like whatever. I forgot what the total cap is, but whatever it is, it's like 30 and something else.
Like it's like 60 total. You're at four. I was thinking of this under the guise that we had 4 picks, but let's even say we had 5. When you're doing your salary cap, wherever you're slotted to pick, that already goes into your salary cap, right? So like you gotta get that number down before you actually pick those people. Once they do the designation, those people are already picked. Could you see yourself not moving down? Like we've been saying over and over again, oh, you're gonna move down, you're gonna get more bodies. Could you just stay pat, right? And when you get to that point with Kirk's contract, instead of putting 35 on the first year, could you do 42? And the reason for that is it allows you to be big players in free agency next year when Penix is really coming into his own.
Or you could just do it this year.
Ah,
We have the most freeable cap in the NFL.
we don't have to lose some people to free up that cap space.
That's with anybody. That's the NFL. You have to move money around. You have to. That's just how it works. You got to pay to. You have to pay to play.
Yeah, I think there's a way that you could.
Look, regardless, whatever happens, we're going to have to move contracts this year. We have to. We only have $4 million of cap right now. Contracts are going to move regardless because one, you got to pay a rookie class. Two, you got to get free agents, and they might not be super active, but they're going to get probably 1 or 2 splash players. May not be the biggest names, but them maneuvering money is going to happen. Touching Kirk contract should not happen. It should not be a thing. I do not agree with touching the contract. Let it
I
be
think
what
that
it's supposed to be. Don't make it. Don't take no $40 million hit in 1 year if you don't have to, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of even splitting it up. Just take it all at once. If that's the case, don't take no 40 plus. No, I don't agree
you
with you.
can't
No,
you can't survive 60. That's the thing. You can't survive 60. You can't
yeah,
survive 60 in life.
I don't want to do 40. Just do 30 and just keep it pushing. Like, because the thing is, we only got 4 picks, four or 5 picks this year. So free agency is going to be a major player.
So
Because
another
the
thing I
thing is, you can only accumulate so many picks by trading back. And in order to trade back, someone has to want to trade up.
yeah, that's the other part of it. But like thinking about like cap amortization year over year, and kind of just like 35 this year is going to be 35. Well, like the coming year, 35 in the coming year is going to be 35, right? But 25, 2 years from now, is really going to be like 22 and a half. That's because like the cap usually goes up every year, right? And the number's still the same, but like the percentage that is going to be on your cap, the money you lose value, it basically be like 22 and a half, right? If you could move even more of that money, you could be a major player. Who's coming 2 years out? These are just things obviously I'm gonna bring to the table as we do more and more research, if it makes sense. But like I could see us with already having a low number, and Larry Elephant in the room is because McKay's involved. We can't act like he's not. Do they think that Fontenot's going to stay long term? And if not, do I want as clean a cap as possible heading into a new regime?
The thing is, new regime or not, the cap's going to be fucked. Period. They're going to walk into the same. Because the thing is, whatever they do this year is going to fuck next year anyway. So if there's a new regime, the new GM is going to come up with his hand signed anyway. It doesn't really matter.
I think there's ways you can.
The
When I'm
contracts are
looking
going to
at
be
it,
screwed. Because the thing is, the Kirk situation sucks. I mean, the Kirk situation put them in put this in the position anyway, regardless of whatever happens, because they're going to sign people to multiple year contracts this year. It's going to happen. Whether Terry's here next year or what in 2026 or not, it really doesn't affect anything, because all you're going to do is put the next GM in the same situation that Terry was in when he got here, of fixing the cap.
last thing I want to get to before we dip out, because like we're talking very speculative about the draft, but this is the last thing I want to talk about. Is left tackle at play at 15? Your thoughts, quick.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Jake Matthews is still signed for, if I'm not mistaken, 2 years? Signed 4 years. He signed 3 year extension. He's still got 2 years left.
They're probably
Um,
going to either extend him or restructure him anyway, so I don't see it.
because to flat out now, to be honest, to flat out cut him, I think you take like a $8 million cap hit. It's not a savings, it's like 8 or 10 or something. It's a crazy number, but then you have no left tackle. So like now, is right tackle more important because Penix is left-handed, right? Because that's what we saw over and over again with Vic. But in today's concept, you need two good tackles, right? What we saw with Vic is we invested heavily in the right tackle, like drafted different for the left tackle. When he went to the Eagles, they did the same thing, right? Miami is doing the same thing. You put your best tackle on the right hand side because that's your blind side. So like
Miami's best tackle's on the actually on the left. Teron
that
Armstead, the one that paid all the money, he's on the left.
they got from the Texans. You're right. You're right. So like, it goes to how you build your team, right?
I think it matters, but I think it's overrated how much it actually matters, because Caleb McGarry was fine.
You said Caleb Gary, yeah. I was about to say, I think Jake is average as the day is long. I don't think he's like an all pro tackle. I don't think he's a bad tackle. I just think he's decent, right?
Caleb McGarry is an above average tackle. He and here's the hot take: Caleb McGarry had a good year this year. Whether people want to agree or not, he played well. Our whole line did.
No,
Uh,
our line, they did their job.
uh, the only thing that could probably take this O line to the next step is scheme diversity in the run game, but that's another podcast.
To be honest with you, I got to give Arthur Smith his flowers there. Like that is something that he was pretty decent while he was here. Very creative in the run game. Like, yeah, we couldn't develop a quarterback. Crap. Did you see that Steelers game, bro? Like that was
He didn't get a chance to develop a quarterback. Like, I mean, because the thing is with quarterbacks is like it swings. You take swings till you get the right one. They take a bet on a third round quarterback. That's not a good bet.
definitely does. He got the quarterback he wanted, and then it looks like he's not able to play him. So,
Who?
but oh, he's in love with Justin Fields.
You sure about that? He's in
He's
love
in
with
love with
he's in love with nobody Benson. Okay. He's in love with him, but he didn't want him in Atlanta. Okay.
no, that wasn't him. That was Tomlin. Tomlin said like this is what we're doing going forward.
Okay, but he didn't want him in Atlanta, but he's in love with him. He had opportunity to draft him. Who they took picks. He didn't want him. They had opportunity to
Amen.
trade for him. He didn't want him.
Look at what he's saying up there. Look what he's saying up there in Pittsburgh. I'm not putting
Huh?
this on that. Look what he's saying up there in Pittsburgh.
Man, them people don't know what they're talking about. These are the same people that want Tomlin fired. I don't touch that damn word.
No, not him, not me. Like him, his actual quotes. Look
Yeah,
what he's saying.
man. Look, no coach is going to actually come. Yeah, he's going to say he's loved because he's in the locker room. That don't mean anything. That's coach speak.
Like he said like they had packages ready for him for this
Yeah,
playoff game. And
yeah,
they
they
were
have.
able to
That doesn't mean they love him. They just mean that he brings a different skill set than Russell because he's a dynamic runner. That doesn't mean they love him.
starter in this league. He said, I see Justin as a starter in this league.
Okay. He also said the same thing about Desmond Ritter too.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's
It's coach speak. You can't take what these coaches say as gospel. That shit don't mean nothing. They just talk for the media. It don't mean nothing. Show me. Your words don't mean shit. Show me.
He can't make that decision. Hey,
He can't look, he can't make no decision. But guess what? When he had the choice to make decisions, he did make those decisions. He passed them up. Don't tell me what you do. Show me.
4 years ago.
And he passed him up because you know why he didn't like him? Because he's a slow processor. That shit ain't changed. Phil still don't see the field fast. He still don't like him. He loves him as a person, but I guarantee you, if Arthur Smith wasn't there, it's going to go like the Mariota route. Because Arthur Smith likes Mariota, but guess what? He benched his ass for Ritter.
We'll talk about that more when we get to ATM. So, you guys, appreciate y'all. It's been your boy Q City.
Your boy Todd Bravado.
Oh dang, I messed that all up. Hey, follow us on everything. Media on YouTube, Twitter, X, whatever, Facebook, all that. I wouldn't say TikTok, but it might be gone next week. So either way, follow us on everything. Have enjoyed the season. We will still put out a good bit of Falcons content. Obviously, gonna switch over to basketball a bit more. We have our after game lives for each and every Hawks game. So check us out on the YouTube is the easiest place to find it. But follow us on Facebook. You follow us on X. They'll be posted there as well. Now, me and Boy G City.
Your boy Todd Bravado.
We out.
Peace.
There we go.